The energy in Pittsburgh was electric yesterday, but not for the reasons you might think. It wasn't just about the game, the score, or the usual 3-hour spectacle that unfolds on the field. The Steelers had just faced a tough loss, 26-7, a scoreline that, on paper, looks disappointing but not catastrophic by Pittsburgh standards. There have been losses far more lopsided, games that were messy and disorganized, moments that tested the patience of even the most loyal fans. Yet what happened in the stadium yesterday went beyond wins or losses. It was about something much deeper, a boiling frustration that had been simmering for years, finally spilling over. Fans weren't booing the plays themselves, the quarterback throws, or even the defensive lapses. They were responding to nearly a decade of repeated disappointment, of seasons that consistently fell short of the playoffs, and to the perception that a long-standing head coach had run out of ideas and energy. The tension was palpable from the opening moments, but erupted in the fourth quarter when, down by 16 points, the stadium was met with the familiar yet poorly timed anthem of Renegade. It felt almost surreal. Some argued it was accidental, a poor choice by whoever controlled the music. Yet the fans interpreted it as a symbol of everything they had endured, the sense that decisions were being made without understanding or respecting the collective voice of Pittsburgh. The boos were thunderous, sustained, and unrelenting. This was about the relationship between the team and its city. For years, the narrative pushed by outside media and commentators who do not live here has been one of satisfaction, of quiet acceptance. They see the streak of non-losing seasons and mistakenly believe the city is content. But any real fan knows that streak means little when it comes at the cost of playoff appearances and genuine competitiveness. The people of Pittsburgh have been loyal, waiting patiently, supporting the team through highs and lows. Yet yesterday showed that patience has limits. Local fans, the ones who sit in the yellow seats through wind, rain, and bitter cold, made it clear that the era of quiet tolerance had ended. They had spoken before in the case of other local teams, making their voices heard when it counted, and now they were doing the same for the Steelers. The frustration was intensified by a series of plays that encapsulated the broader issues within the team. A critical handoff to Kenny Gainwell on fourth, and two highlighted repeated mistakes in blocking schemes, the kind of errors that make fans shake their heads and question every decision on the sidelines. Earlier, a failed 3rd-and-9 run had already put the crowd on edge. These on-field moments became symbols for years of unmet expectations, coaching decisions that seemed increasingly out of touch, and a sense that the team had lost its way. When the chants began, their origin might have been hard to pinpoint, but their impact was unmistakable. The energy was unified, the message clear: enough is enough. It was a civic moment, a turning point where the relationship between fans and the organization was laid bare. This wasn't about social media outrage, online petitions, or opinion columns. It was about thousands of real people passionate, invested, and demanding accountability. The chants didn't just fill the stadium. They echoed the sentiment of a city that had invested its heart and soul into its team for generations. Every whistle, every play, every misstep became part of a narrative that had been building for years. It was a collective expression of frustration, a reminder to everyone involved that loyalty does not equate to complacency. In the midst of this, even the voices of those who cover the team were secondary. The fans were the true authority, the heartbeat of Pittsburgh football. Anyone in attendance witnessed the unfiltered rawness of emotion, a city holding its team accountable in real time. It was a reminder that sports are not just about statistics or records, but about identity, pride, and community. Decisions made in the front office, strategies executed on the field, and responses from the coaching staff are all measured against the unwavering expectation that Pittsburgh deserves excellence. Yesterday, the fans made it unmistakably clear that they are watching, listening, and most importantly, participating. The stadium became a mirror reflecting years of tension, anticipation, and hope. Moments like these reveal the depth of passion that cannot be captured in highlight reels or post-game summaries. It's about decades of loyalty, of investment in a team that is more than just a name on a jersey. It is a symbol of the city itself. And while some might try to reduce it to a single play, a single score, or a poorly timed song, the truth is far more profound. What happened on that field, in those stands, was a statement about pride, identity, and the expectations that come with being a Pittsburgh fan. It was an unfiltered expression of what it means to care deeply, to demand better, and to hold a team accountable for not meeting the standards set by the city it represents. Every decision, from the sidelines to the front office, is now under scrutiny in a way that only a city like Pittsburgh can produce. The fans are no longer passive observers. They are participants, voices that shape the narrative, and reminders that loyalty is not unconditional acceptance. Yesterday was a demonstration of the intersection between passion and expectation, a moment where history, pride, and accountability converged in a single, unforgettable display of emotion. The boos, the chants, the collective energy in the stadium were not just reactions to a loss. They were a declaration that the city of Pittsburgh will not settle for mediocrity, that it will demand excellence, and that it will always hold its team to the highest standard possible. It was a rare, raw moment of truth for everyone involved, a stark reminder that sports in Pittsburgh are about more than wins and losses. They're about community, identity, and a relentless pursuit of respect and success. For years, the fans have tolerated close calls, coaching missteps, and underwhelming performances, but yesterday was a turning point. The voice of the city was loud, clear, and impossible to ignore. No play, no chant, no moment on the field could overshadow the significance of the statement being made. The message from the yellow seats was simple. Loyalty is earned, respect is a two-way street, and the time for empty gestures or half-hearted efforts is over. The reaction of the fans wasn't just a one-time outburst. It was the culmination of years of frustration boiling over into a tangible moment that could not be ignored. Sitting in the stands, you could feel the tension in every corner, every row, every yellow seat vibrating with emotion. It was more than disappointment. It was a mixture of disbelief, exasperation, and a deep-seated need to make the organization understand that the patience of Pittsburgh runs deep but has limits. The chants for accountability weren't aimed at players individually, nor were they petty or fleeting. They were a reflection of the city's collective voice, the voice of a fan base that has been loyal through decades of trials and triumphs, demanding that their team reflect the pride and resilience of the city itself. Watching the crowd, it became apparent that this wasn't about any single coach, play, or quarter. It was about the perception of repeated mediocrity, the sense that decisions were being made without regard to the pulse of the city, and the frustration that comes with being undervalued or unheard. Even when the head coach stepped up for his post-game comments, the disconnect was clear. His words were measured, cautious, and seemingly designed to avoid confrontation rather than to engage in meaningful dialogue. Fans had already made their judgment, and any attempt to appease them with standard responses would fall flat. The energy in the stadium was unrelenting, as if the collective history of disappointment, hope, and loyalty was being channeled into a single, powerful expression that the team and its leadership could not overlook. The plays on the field reflected just a fraction of what fans were reacting to. A poorly executed handoff, a breakdown in blocking, or a failed attempt to convert on a critical down all became symbols of a larger issue. A sense that the strategies in place were no longer sufficient, that innovation and adaptability had been sacrificed for familiarity. The frustration was compounded by the perception that the team had not evolved to meet modern challenges, leaving fans questioning every decision made in the coaching room. The chants, the boos, and the energy were not just reactions. They were lessons in accountability. They were a reminder that in Pittsburgh, football is more than a game. It is a civic institution, a reflection of the city's identity, and a responsibility that requires respect for its history, its fans, and its values. The crowd's reaction also highlighted a significant dynamic in professional sports: the power of the fan base as a force for change. It is easy to underestimate the influence of a vocal, passionate community, but in Pittsburgh, that influence is tangible. History has shown that when fans speak in unison, ownership and leadership take notice. This isn't about social media commentary, casual opinions, or fleeting frustrations. It is about the real-time presence of fans who show up, invest emotionally, and demand accountability. The energy from the yellow seats, the unified voice of those in the stands, reminded everyone that the relationship between a team and its city is reciprocal. Respect is earned, loyalty is recognized, and performance is expected. The narrative that emerged from yesterday's game is multifaceted. On one level, it was a critique of coaching decisions and tactical approaches, highlighting areas of offense that have struggled to produce results and exposing weaknesses that fans have discussed and debated for years. On another level, it was a cultural moment, a statement about the identity of Pittsburgh football and a declaration that the city will not tolerate complacency. Every misstep, every failed conversion, and every poorly timed song amplified the broader message that the fans were sending. The era of quiet tolerance is over, and the time for accountability has arrived. The post-game press conference served as a stark reminder of the disconnect that sometimes exists between leadership and its most invested constituents. While questions were asked about offensive strategy, team performance, and decisions on critical plays, the responses were measured and careful, perhaps overly so. Fans in attendance were seeking acknowledgement, an understanding of their frustration, and a sense that their voices mattered. Instead, the cautious, non-committal answers only reinforced the perception that the leadership was out of touch, further energizing the crowd and validating the chants and boos that had already defined the day. Beyond the stadium, the reaction reverberates through the entire city. Pittsburgh fans are not passive observers. They are participants, guardians of a legacy that stretches back decades. Their investment goes beyond tickets, merchandise, or casual support. It is about identity, community, and shared pride. When they express dissatisfaction, it is not fleeting anger. It is a statement of expectation, a demand that the team and its leadership honor the tradition and excellence that Pittsburgh football represents. The energy in the stadium yesterday was a reminder that the people of this city will not settle for excuses or superficial gestures. They expect transparency, accountability, and a commitment to excellence that matches their own passion for the game. Even as the season continues and challenges remain, the lessons from yesterday are clear. Fans have power, influence, and a voice that cannot be ignored. Their presence is not passive. It is active, engaged, and unyielding. They shape the culture of the stadium, influence the perception of leadership, and hold the team accountable in a way that statistics or media commentary cannot replicate. The chants and boos were not acts of rebellion. They were expressions of care, passion, and a demand for respect. They are a reminder that Pittsburgh football is defined not only by the players on the field, but by the city that surrounds them, a city that has long demanded excellence and will continue to do so without compromise. The symbolism of the day extends beyond the game itself. It is about history, loyalty, and the enduring connection between a team and its city. It is about holding leaders accountable, pushing for innovation, and refusing to accept mediocrity. Every fan in those yellow seats became part of a narrative that stretches far beyond a single season or a single loss. Their collective energy, their unwavering commitment, and their vocal dissatisfaction are powerful reminders that Pittsburgh football is a living, breathing institution that reflects the pride, resilience, and expectations of its people. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers have begun to ripple through league circles after a tense post-game moment involving Pittsburgh Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin. Though Tomlin is known for keeping his comments controlled and his emotions tightly sealed, his tone after the clash with the Bills hinted at something far heavier than the usual coach speak. Reporters described his demeanor as firm, clipped, almost deliberately restrained, as if he were holding back thoughts he wasn't quite ready to unleash. Yet even within that restraint, one message broke through clearly. He was not satisfied. Sources close to the locker room claim Tomlin delivered a pointed and unmistakable message aimed at his own group. The coach, typically measured when discussing internal matters, allowed frustration to slip through the cracks. Observers suggest that his remarks were less about a single moment and more about recurring issues that have begun to weigh on him. Those who know his style say that when Tomlin criticizes publicly, it's rarely accidental and almost always directed with purpose. Behind closed doors, the chatter is that he challenged the team's discipline and intensity, questioning whether certain players were fully aligned with the standard he demands. Some insiders believe his comments were aimed at specific units, while others insist the critique was meant for the entire roster. What's undeniable is that his words carried an edge that caught veterans and newcomers alike off guard. Rumors now swirl about potential adjustments, both strategic and personnel-related. Nothing concrete has surfaced, but the tone of Tomlin's message has sparked speculation that patience may be wearing thin in certain areas. A few players reportedly took his remarks as a wake-up call. Others appeared visibly irritated. Still, those familiar with the culture in Pittsburgh know that internal friction under Tomlin often precedes a sharper, more unified response. Whether this moment becomes a turning point or simply another flicker in a long season remains to be seen. But one thing is clear: Tomlin's rare public criticism has ignited conversation across the league, and the echo of his pointed message is unlikely to fade quietly. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.